What's up guys, Steven Dexter. So recently there's a lot of imposters on Instagram and Facebook. Just be careful with people contact you on Facebook and trying to offer you account management, because I don't manage your accounts for other people. I only trade for myself, and anything that is outside of Steven Dexter domain is definitely fake. So do not invest into these type of scams. You will get scammed and they will take your money and they will walk away, and it makes me feel bad. Be careful, do not get scammed by these imposters. What's up guys, Steven Dexter. So in this video, I'm going to talk about my $80,000 week as a gross profit, and there's some of commissions and fees involved in there, maybe about 5,000-ish. Since the borrow fee are fairly cheap recently, and I also found out there's few more new adjustments for people trying to go long. So I will try to select some of the tickers that stands out and some of the tickers that I profit huge, and give you a decent understanding of why is the psychology behind this pattern, because every single pattern have a based psychology in there to tell you why the pattern works, why it fits the logic. All right, so before I get into these videos, as I said, I profit about $80,000 in gross profit, minus the fees about 5,000, so 75,000. And I don't want to really not show proof, so here we go. So here's my account statement. You can see on May 1st, I profited about 2,000. I didn't really trade on the second, the third. Then 10,000, 14,000, 21,000. The biggest profit I made on was on IO, which I will go over later. I lost about 3,000 on Friday. I was trying some weird long strategies, and I also will go over and why I took a loss on that one. So overall, within this week, I profited $80,000. And once you follow the pattern, the profits will follow. So let's get into the patterns and figure out why I shorted IO and why I tried to long mark. So there's a bunch of details and psychology involved in there, and let's get into the tickers. So there's 3 tickers I want to talk about. Based on what we had on January, February, and March, it created a lot of opportunities on the coronavirus volume. So CAPR, of course, trapped a lot of volume. Mark, this one also traded a tons of volume. I will go over later because it tried to form a multi-day breakout without any type of consolidation level. And IO, this ticker was a decent gap up short into resistance, and also it's a little bit weird because how the resistance and support level played out. Let's get into CAPR first, and then let's follow with the long and short pattern. So CAPR, this ticker formed 200 million resistance on a really high price stocks. Typically in average volume, penny stock trades about 100 million as a maximum per day. So CAPR actually exceed. So typically what we know is penny stock trades about 100 million volume as maximum on intraday. CAPR actually traded about 200 million, which exceed the maximum on average, which created a huge amount of resistance around $10 area. And as you can see, stock keep pushing into tens and keep failing. So that's where you can select your entry and swing this ticker for about maybe a month or 15 days, depends on how heavy the resistance is. And if the resistance are very solid, typically they drop about 75% in a very long time, sometimes within a month, sometimes within 2 months. So for CAPR, if you are a swing trader and you want to be a part-time trader as don't want to spend the whole day trying to trade between 9:30 to 4, this strategy will be the best that fit for you, is because it's very simple and you don't have to spend about 4 hours or 5 hours trying to look at where it's going to break down. So once you find the entry and you swing it for about 10 days and select the broker that doesn't really charge tons of fees overnight, then these type of strategies will profit you a lot. Typically, my schedule fits for this type of strategy. I trade anywhere between 9:30 to 11:30 maximum. Sometimes I get off around 10. So the more you are trying to look at the stocks and trying to study, I don't really recommend during the market hours, because a lot of people, when they look at stocks that is going up 100%, 200%, they're feeling of missing out. When they have that type of emotion involved in, they're always trying to force opportunities that they don't have. Then they start making mistakes, getting emotional, start making next mistakes. That's where they blow up their account, or they get frustrated that they don't want to really trade anymore. So for study, I always recommend study after the market close and only spend about maybe an hour or 2 hours to find the best pattern. If the pattern is not there, then you just don't trade. Make that day to zero better than red. So CAPR, that's my overall thoughts. Now let's get into today's major takers, which is MARK and IO. So MARK did have an IPO a while ago, didn't really show any type of history. And you can see the stock traded about 160 million shares around May 6th. Typically, when we're looking at a multi-day breakout, we always want to look for a consolidation or neutralized area. Now, what do I mean by consolidation and neutralized area? Let me give you a decent examples and why the psychology behind this pattern works. Sometimes it doesn't really work. Assume I'm a buyer, which I don't really know anything about the stock market. And I saw this ticker everybody's talking about and trading tons of volume. Volume is very sufficient. All of a sudden, the stock is spiking from 70 cents to $1. And then let's assume I bought it at $1. The maximum that I know, the stock is going to drop to zero. So the next day, the stock falls all the way back to 50 cents or 40 cents. And let me give you a decent drawing right here. So let's say the stock fall back about 60 cents. So assume you're a buyer from $1 and the stock drops about 50 cents or 40 cents, around 50 to 40% in one day. And most of the buyers that doesn't really know about market, when they're looking at that 40% or 50% loss, they will get desperate. They will hold the stock forever until the stock come back. These type of buyers we call the desperation hold. Now that will cause the stock form a long consolidation area for a while. And once it formed a long consolidation area, which doesn't really have any type of liquidity in there, since the stock perk, people will use that consolidation area as support to dip buy to see if the stock could perform a potential breakout. So in this case, MARK didn't really form a long time consolidation. It's because once the buyer is in there, if they're not feeling frustrated enough, they won't really hold forever. If the stock performs enough liquidity day by day and it's not really breaking out through that high, which is $115 area, this will cause the stock to become really choppy on intraday. Let's look at 15 days and 5-minute charts. You can see the stock did hold back, start rebreak again because of this tiny little consolidation. These type of consolidation needs to last about 5 to 10 days. And in this case, only last about in after and pre-market. You can see the breakout is not as strong compared to CODX, which we talked about a long time ago, which was a multi-day breakout that trapped a lot of volume. It had a decent amount of consolidation time, and the shorter the consolidation time is, the harder for it to try the breakout. So on Friday, I was trying to buy the breakout when it broke this $115 area. I forgot about the stock needs to consolidate for a while. That's why I took a loss because stock freaked it out on me. That's where the $3,000 loss come from. For future-wise, as you guys trying to focus on multi-day breakout or long strategy, never try to buy the stock that didn't really form long-time consolidations or solid enough support and trying to blindly buy the breakout because most likely you will get faked out. That will be my tips on MARK. Let's talk about my 35,000 yen on IO. This ticker and support and resistance level are really messed up. So let's go over them first on the historical charts. First of all, you see there's a decent amount of resistance, around 20 million shares traded on April 2nd. Soon as the market opened, the stock is tracking more volume, and the volume estimate is going to exceed the historical volume resistance. So in this case, what I did is I saw there's tons of volume in the pre-market and didn't really create enough range. Now, what we see in the first half a year in 2020, if the stock is only up about 70% to 80%, that's not enough for you to really short into. The stock needs to create about 100% or 120, 150% to become like a potential short for you, especially on gap up short. For IO, the first thing that I saw is overwhelming pre-market volume, and I know the volume is going to trade more than the resistance volume. So the first thing you want to think of is the stock is going to push it as soon as the market opens. And if you're trying to short into the pre-market using the historical resistance, that's where you make mistakes as soon as the market opens. Because in the pre-market, there's really low liquidities and it can be easily manipulated. That's why I placed a rule for myself and my student to not trade in the pre-market no matter how heavy the resistance volume is because when you are jumping into this type of situations, you always get squeezed about 30% to 40%, sometimes even 100%. And you don't really know where the stock is going to end. Once you wait after the market open, you wait the stock forms the top, then you enter for a short. So for IO, what I did is I shorted around 380-ish, risking 420, and I covered as soon as I tried to tempt it to break the previous high, which I did. I lost about, I think it was 3,000 there. Then I sized it in once it rejected 437, falls under this resistance. So 420 and 437 becomes both resistance for you to risk off. And my average turns out to be 390, and I swinged it for the entire day. Covered around 317 and added a little bit into this bounce, which is 340-ish. And overall, I think I made about $1 a share. Shorted about 35,000 shares, so profit will be 35,000. That's on IO and MRK. So that will be all my analysis on this weekly recap. And thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you guys learned something new. If you have any questions, please leave a comment below. Make sure to smash the like button. I will see you guys in the next video.